Welcome to Go Lurk Yourself, a podcast about streaming on the internets. I am Crunky.
I'm Cherry Cake.
And I'm Snuffas.
Today we're going to talk about the new Xbox One and PC game, Sea of Thieves, with our good friend Snuffas89. He's been an outspoken fan of the game and is literally the first person I can recall talking about it. He turned us on to the beta stress test, and we got to play it for a few times prior to release, and then since. Hey Snuff, how's it going?
Going good. I just got off my boat this morning. Got a bunch of pirates last night. Got a little bit of a sleep, not much sleep.
Sleep.
I had to change into my work clothes. All my, my sea clothes were all salty.
Of course. I saw that picture you posted on Discord with the ship that has like 1,000 treasures on it. My first thought was that was your ship.
I wish, man. That's some dedication right there. I think he said it took 15 hours to get all those chests, and then he got an error, and he couldn't turn them in. It kicked him out of the game. Yeah.
Because he had too many chests?
I don't know. It was, I think Almond Beard was the error. I know a lot of people have ran into it, yeah. So I was like, man, all the hard work for nothing.
Yeah, when you posted that, I thought you meant Almond Beard was like someone that sank him, shot him. I didn't realize that was an error.
No, that would be content added to the game, Cherry. They don't have that.
How did a guy go that long without being attacked?
I don't know. I'm sure he was attacked, and I'm sure he sunk the other guys, but how he went that long and didn't get his chest stolen or completely sunk and lose everything, I have no idea.
It sounds like
really
he did,
talented.
just not by players. He got attacked by Blackbeard, the IT pirate.
Need to add that pirate legend to the game.
Yeah.
Well, for those of you guys who don't know anything about Sea of Thieves, let me just give you a little bit of a history on it. Sea of Thieves is an open world pirate game with a Pixar or Team Fortress 2 style of art that focuses on sailing on the high seas looking for action, adventure, and of course treasure. It has some of the best looking water physics I've ever seen. I mean, that's the first thing that blew me away when I played it.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, the mechanics of sailing the boats around the ocean are very well done, and feel like a pretty good approximation. Not as hard as actually sailing, but it's not like most games where click here to drive boat. They actually you have to move the sails. You have to, at the same time, you have to steer the ship. You have to turn around and raise and lower the sails. It's a lot of fun. And you have to do it cooperatively with other people. You can't. I mean, there are smaller ships you can sail by yourself, but for the most part, the bigger ships you have to have a crew to be able to do it.
Oh, for sure, you'd be screwed if it was just you on the galleon.
Exactly. Sea of Thieves was developed by Rare Studios using the Unreal 4 engine. Development started, when I looked into it, it looked like it started about 2014. It's been stated by Rare that it was intended to make a group-based game focused on cooperation and playing with your friends. The goal is to make a shared experience. At E3 2015, Microsoft showed off a game trailer at their press conference. Did you watch that trailer before, Snuff?
I did. I have seen that trailer, and that's what got me into the game. And That's the first thing that got me interested into the alpha, which came out summer of 2017, I believe. But yeah, I saw that trailer, and I was extremely excited for that.
Yeah, it definitely looked really good.
I have never heard of this game until very, very recently.
Look at the non-nerd.
Yeah,
Ooh.
spotting on nerd in the room. 2015. I had no idea that this game existed.
Originally, when this game was being developed, Microsoft wasn't behind kind of the advertising for it, so it was very small. But like in 2015, once Microsoft bought into producing this game and putting it out on PC and Xbox, they really ramped up the advertising. But before that, yeah, it was very small. Not a ton of people heard of it.
That's where the price hike came in then as well.
Exactly,
with
unfortunately.
Yeah.
I believe originally when it was on Kickstarter, I think they said they were going to charge $25 or $30 for the game.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Which is about where it should be.
Yeah,
well, that's
definitely
interesting. So the Rare started on this before Microsoft gave its full backing, because Rare's owned by Microsoft.
Yep. Rare started on this. From what I could tell from the advertising, Rare started on it, and then Microsoft wanted to make it an exclusive Xbox PC game and not release it for PC. So I don't know if that had something to do with them advertising it more, them wanting to make it just an exclusive.
Yeah, I read this really interesting article this week about, indie games and PC games across the board, having a really hard time. Like quality doesn't move games. You have to sink as much into advertising as you do development, sort of like movies.
Yeah.
If you don't have an advertising budget, doesn't matter what your game's like, it's not going to get off the ground.
There's so much content out there begging for our attention. It's.
Yeah, I mean, we just did, Cherry and I and Dee just did an episode of this podcast last week where we went back and found what I consider 3 pretty decent games that none of us had ever heard of before.
Yep.
And we were like, hey, we went digging, we read reviews, and we found super high quality content that nobody knows about. Well,
they're usually pretty cheap if they're indie games.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think the most expensive one we paid was $15 US, and then like, I don't know what that is in pounds.
I think so. Yeah, I think
Monopoly money.
Funny. Yeah, so $15 or less, I mean, it's pretty decent for a game.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of where Sea of Thieves falls into. I don't think it's $15. I think like $25-$30 is the sweet spot for it. But once Microsoft decided to push it even more, and I guess make it an Xbox One exclusive, that price hike went up to $60.
Yeah, that I think we'll get into this a bit later on in the episode when we talk about our full review or whatever. But looking at that E3 trailer, do you remember? Have you watched it lately? Do you remember much what's different compared to the actual experience versus that trailer?
No, I need to go back and watch that though.
Yeah.
I haven't watched it since the alpha came out this summer.
I need to watch it for the first time.
I watched the trailer yesterday, and it definitely has a lot of what's in the game is there, but stylized and edited and cut with good music. But for the most part, they didn't show anything crazy. I think they showed a little bit of like the Kraken that I think is something developers are holding back a little bit to kind of be a fun thing for people to discover. But there wasn't anything too crazy in there that like, oh, where's this? Where's this? That's what I expected to be. I expected there to be something in there that just didn't make it to the game.
Some far-fetched idea that didn't make the cut.
Right. So that brings us on to the stress test. A couple of weeks ago, as I mentioned earlier, Snuffas came to us and said, hey, there's a stress test going on. It's free to play. You can just download it and play it on Windows. And we played... We played it for, I want to say I played probably 6 hours of it in total over a couple of different weekends.
Yeah, that's about how many hours I put into it.
Yeah, and I had fun. Like the first couple of hours, especially after we had some trouble connecting with Snuffas, one of your friends, right?
Yeah. I don't know why he couldn't get on. It was, they couldn't queue up, and when they queued up, when we tried to get into the server, world, they wouldn't bring the crew we had. That was one of the patches they did yesterday, was fixing all that, the joining and all that stuff.
Yeah, because for those who don't know, this game is cross-platform between Xbox One and PC. So I definitely enjoyed the first few hours, the treasure hunts and everything. But after 2 or 3 of them in a row, I started to get bored. Like we were having all the fun we had. I think all the fun I had, I can't speak for you guys, was what we made of it. We were goofing off, having a good time. Making cheesy pirate jokes and killing stuff and drinking what do they call it?
Grog, yeah,
and puking all over the deck. And after about a couple hours, I was like, okay, I get it. What else is there? And I just I found the combat a bit stiff. It's sort of like Fortnite. I know this game looks like the animation art style kind of looks like Fortnite, but I didn't feel like the combat with the skeletons on the islands and the other players that we ran into, I never felt like the combat was great. With the exception of the boat to boat or the ship to ship combat, firing the cannons and having a sea battle was amazing. We did that 2 or 3 times when I played, and it never got old. Where it broke down was when we were boarded and you had to go person to person fighting. I felt that was kind of, I don't know, cheap feeling.
Yep, I felt the PvP in the stress test really needed work. The hand-to-hand PvP needed work. The ship-to-ship PvP was awesome.
Yeah, that was great.
And in the stress test, I was really shocked by how smooth some of the stuff was, because in the first stress test, there were a ton of glitching errors and stuttering and stuff like that, and they fixed that in the second stress test. And I had a ton of fun. I mean, I pumped. I was joking when I said 5 or 6 hours. I probably in a 3-day period, I probably put in 20 hours into the stress test.
Oh my god.
Yeah, because I got up to level 20 in the Merchant Guild and the Gold Hoarders Guild, which 20 in the stress test was as high as you could go. But yeah, I felt it was very much a goal-driven game in the stress test, and I had fun with it doing that. And then when people would come on, you'd get around and just, dick around, go to island to island, sink people and stuff like that. And I had a lot of hopes that there would be something more added in the full release.
Yeah. What about you, Cherry?
Pretty much what you just said, really. I mean, the stress test itself it's a test, so obviously they're not going to give you everything that was in the final game, but what was in the stress test satisfied what I thought was going to come from from the bit of gameplay that was available. I really enjoyed it. I think a lot of it is to do with hanging out with friends in the game itself, rather than
specifically Crunky and I think is what you're referring to. Yeah. Cherry,
What?
I think one of the most memorable parts of the stress test was we were playing late at night, so it was like 1 a.m. for you.
Yeah.
And you were using the bell up on the crow's nest to signal that you heard us. It was 2 rings for yes and 1 for no. It was hilarious.
Yeah, I do remember.
Yeah, because she was trying to be quiet so she'd wake her housemates up.
Yeah.
That bell is the best addition to the boat out of anything. Yeah. Well, just while you were talking about the combat just before then, like, I understand like why you were saying it's not great, but I feel like because it's not the main focus of the game, it's acceptable for what it is. Like the boat combat's fine. There was only a couple of times that I ever encountered anyone that actually decided to try and sink me, and I always lost. But generally, whenever I did see boats or came across boats, they just happily went on their way. So that was kind of nice that people kind of stuck to themselves. But if you want to go and seek combat, it's quite fun to do so.
Was it you, Cherry, that told me that you were playing with another friend and you guys got camped?
Oh yeah, I was playing with Shu, and yeah, we were just merrily on our way, sailing the seas, looking for treasure. And I think we'd stopped at an island to try and find some. And as we boarded our ship after finding the treasure, we got hit and we got boarded by this other ship, and then we rezzed again and then got put back on our ship and then just got killed instantly again because they didn't sink our ship. It puts you back onto your ship. So as long as they kept your ship alive, you would automatically go back to where they were. They just ended up camping us. So yeah,
in that situation, you can scuttle your ship.
You tell me this now.
Sink it. Yeah, there's an option. So when you go into the option screens, you can you have an option to put somebody in the brig, and you have an option to scuttle your ship. So yeah, you lose whatever treasure's on there, but yeah, you can sink it and respawn at an outpost.
Damn.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. Yep.
So that sorts that. Well, see, again, it depends on how much treasure you've got on your ship.
Right.
If you've got a boatload, then you're not going to sink your ship automatically. But in that instance, I guess the people that were boarding your ship or camping your ship will have already taken the treasure anyway. So
one other little thing that I noticed in the stress test that I ran into a couple times was people camping outposts, and that was
Wait, hang on! Didn't you say you did that the other day?
Oh, well, yeah, but this isn't a full release game.
Who do you think he meant by he saw people doing it? He and his friends doing it.
I saw myself doing it.
Yeah.
It's the royal we.
So that brings us on to was it last Friday it came out full release?
Last Tuesday.
Yep. So about a week and 2 days ago from when we're recording this. The game came out full retail. It was $60 to buy it full outright, or you could buy it on the what did they call that?
Xbox One Game Pass. Yeah.
Or you could actually get Game Pass on PC for all Microsoft games, which is pretty interesting. The full game release saw a pretty mixed critical reception. It's been lukewarm to say the least. Polygon gave it a 65 and had this to say: Sea of Thieves has the foundation of an incredible experience. It's a true pirate game that simulates the experience of piracy perfectly, and yet after those first few jaw dropping hours, you're going to start feeling less like Blackbeard and more like Blackbeard's accountant, which I thought was a pretty funny review.
It's pretty accurate.
It hits about 61 on PC on Metacritic and 70 out of 44 critics on Xbox One. I find it fascinating that the same game that plays exactly the same way has a skew slightly more positive on Xbox One than it does on PC.
Oh, yeah.
I thought that's a little bit of a confirmation bias or whatever they call that when Xbox people are like, well, it's an exclusive, so we got to grade it a little softer than we would.
It's got to be a little bit better.
Yeah, it's like when a PS4 exclusive comes out and the PlayStation sites all rate it just slightly higher than everybody else. It's like, come on, guys. But shortly after release, people started to figure out that the game was available on Microsoft's Game Pass, as we mentioned before. This gave people a cheaper alternative than paying the full $60 up to try the game, and that's what I and Cherry and I think Snuffas, you bought it outright,
Yes,
right?
I did. Yeah.
Yeah, Cherry and I we got the 10-day free trial of Game Pass. That basically gives you 10 days to try out all games on the Game Pass, including this one, and we played it a few times since. I have. Cherry, have you probably played it more than me, haven't you?
Not as much as I anticipated I would.
Oh.
Okay.
Well, Cherry, what are you doing after the podcast?
I'm working, I'm afraid.
Nah, skip that. You don't need to do that.
Just
why work when you could go just farm loot?
That's right.
Yeah, sure. I don't need to get paid. Just on that topic of the Microsoft Game Pass, I will say the system that Microsoft have got for logging in and trying to set a party up is the worst system
agreed.
I have ever come across.
100% agreed. I think Chaos was trying to play a couple before he went on vacation, and it took him maybe 30 minutes to try to set up getting people in the party, and then he never did it. Like he never could get it going. It's horrible.
It's so convoluted and so just broken.
And it's funny because I as a pretty big Nintendo honk, I listen to a lot of podcasts about Nintendo, and one of the biggest criticisms that I agree with Nintendo is their online sucks. It always has. They were last to implement it of the three major console makers. They still don't do it right. They're talking about in 2017, at the end of 2017, they were going to have an online system. It's still not out. I don't know if you guys have checked their calendars, but it's March of 2018. They're still talking about it's coming soon. And I've heard stories of them, going to Nintendo going, like industry insiders saying, hey, just set up like Microsoft has. And everybody at Nintendo's like, what? Like, what? What are you talking about? Because, this game aside, Xbox Live is pretty much the foundation for
online
how
gaming.
to do online gaming.
Yeah.
And party system. Even PlayStation is aped off of that, I think. They were the first ones to do it. And I'm not the biggest Microsoft fan, Xbox fan, but they nailed party matchmaking. It's easy, fluid, and simple. For Xbox One. However, the party system and how you do it on PC is trash.
Yeah. It's I think Sea of Thieves really, before we get into the actual content of the game, a couple things they did wrong was they used the Microsoft system. I know they probably didn't have a choice, but it's just so crappy. Microsoft Store is so crappy, and queuing up is so bad. And the $60 price tag, I think, is another fail of the game.
Yeah.
I think those two things combined are going to turn a lot of people off before we even get into the content of the game.
Sorry, Snuff. The 10-day free trial for the Game Pass, I wouldn't have known about if I didn't have a friend that is like heavily involved in gaming. There was I didn't realize that was an option at all.
And see, I'm kind of surprised about that. Yeah, I'm kind of surprised about that because I would think that would give a wider fan base a chance at playing the full game and get people hooked within the first 10 days.
Yeah.
And then they would go back and buy it after the Game Pass is up.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that goes back to what we were saying earlier, that if you're not advertising things, people aren't going to know about it because there's just so much information out there and so many options to play. So speaking of that Game Pass, I got to thinking about this the other day. Do you think they added Sea of Thieves to the Game Pass as a way to promote the Game Pass system itself? Like, do you think that because all the hype around Sea of Thieves, do you think that they went? Normally, they don't put a brand new game on Game Pass because it's basically $10 a month, I think.
Something like that, yeah.
And then you get to play unlimited access to all the games that are part of that pass. I know EA has a sort of something like this where you pay a monthly fee and you have access to a slew of games, but it's never their brand new games. It's always like, hey, our back catalog, you can play all of it anytime you want. I know Cherry and I played FIFA.
Yeah.
And I got their whatever EA's Origin Access, I think is what it's called.
Yeah, it's Origin. Yeah.
Lets you play all their back catalog for $5 a month, is it?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's something ridiculously cheap. Do you think Game Pass you think they added Sea of Thieves to Game Pass just as a way to promote that service? Because it just launched recently.
I would think it's a little bit of both.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's like a 50-50. They used Sea of Thieves hype to promote Game Pass, and they used people that were already on Game Pass to promote Sea of Thieves.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know. Is Sea of Thieves after this 10-day trial thing? I wonder if it's still going to remain on Game Pass.
I guess that'd answer that question, wouldn't it? Whether or not it's just a promotion. Yeah, that's a good call. Because as you've said a couple of times, $10 a month to play all of Microsoft games, including Sea of Thieves. I'll try Sea of Thieves again. But if it goes away and the only thing I can do is pay $60 to play it, I won't do it.
Yeah, and a lot of the Game Pass people got a 2-week free trial, and that ends on April the 3rd, or April the 2nd is when it ends. So I think April 3rd is going to be a big day for Sea of Thieves to see what the player base is going to look like after the Game Pass trials are up.
Yeah, because, I mean, how many friends do you have playing it with you right now? I mean, I've played it a few times, but...
Yeah, I mean, I have between 8 and 10 people I know that I play with kind of regularly. Okay. And out of those 8 to 10, I would say 5 of them are on the free trial on Game Pass.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So, I mean, whether or not, it's a great system, at least this ploy of putting Sea of Thieves on it is working. Right. People are using it.
Yep.
So let's talk about the long-term design plans of this game and a little bit about what all the industry is calling games as a service model that this Game Pass is. According to a few articles that I've researched in preparation for this, there will be no traditional DLC in Sea of Thieves. The devs have stated they do not want to gate off players by having a DLC that you can only access this area if everyone has it. So what they've said they were going to do is have free updates instead. However, they also will be having they're open to having cosmetic only microtransactions. Like, you can look pretty for a price.
On that topic, I think with the price of the game for $60, I don't think it would be right for them to charge for DLC anyway.
Right.
100% agree. 100% agree. That's what I was thinking. If you pay $60 for this, the DLC should be free. And microtransactions for cosmetic stuff, I'm completely fine with that because, I mean, I don't wear a shirt or anything in the game anyways, so or in real life. But yeah, if they keep adding stuff and they keep updating it like they have, then $60 for this game, I think, will be fair in maybe a year's time if they keep adding content, Yeah. But that's just one of those promises, and we've been screwed by big companies so often, it's hard to believe them.
I agree with that 100%. I mean, everyone on this podcast right now played Destiny 2, and that is the most recent one that really stung me. I've never gone from being totally immersed in loving a game to being absolutely jilted by it in my life. I mean, I loved that game for like a month, and it just dried up one day, and I was like, wait, there's nothing here.
There's never anything there.
That was the same way I felt about Star Wars Battlefront when the first one EA did. I mean, I played the hell out of it for like a month and a half, and then after that, I was just like, wait, I'm done. There's nothing else here.
I'm with you on that one because I found it very difficult, very hard to come across people that actually enjoyed the first Battlefront.
Yeah,
and that came with my PlayStation 4 when I first got it, and for the game to come with it, I really enjoyed playing it.
Yeah, I loved it for like a month and a half, but after that, I was just like, well, there's not much else to do here, and I wasn't gonna buy any of the DLC.
No.
Star Wars Battlefront 1, the one that came out on the next PS4 and Xbox One and PC, was like really bad potato chips, or what do you call them in England? Crisps.
Yeah.
the first couple are good, but after a while you just get a tummy ache and you never want to see them again. It looks so amazing. I got it on PC when it came out. I was like, this game looks amazing, but it was just so razor thin. The depth of it was just there's nothing there.
I've never played a game like that where the alpha was better than the full release. It was weird. I loved the alpha. I thought the alpha was polished, and they made a bunch of little tweaks for the full release, and the full release was a steaming hot pile of shit.
Yeah, you come out of a door, you spawn, and you walk outside, and boom, headshot, you're dead. You're like, what the hell?
I don't know what they did, but they sure as hell made it worse.
I played it on PC where people had mouse and keyboard controls, and the game was clearly balanced for controller accuracy. So it was just a sniper fest. I mean, you couldn't put your head outside of over a rock without it getting picked off. And the damage from the gun, it's like playing PUBG, on Miramar. You just get sniped every 5 seconds.
Yeah.
I think the cross-platform play, like we were saying with Battlefront, it was designed for controller. I feel like Sea of Thieves was designed for a controller. But Bishiv was telling me the respawn times when you die on console is like 3 or 4 times longer than the respawn times on PC.
Because of the loading.
Yeah. And I was like, well, they gotta fix this. Like, somehow it's gotta be fixed. Like, they have to balance if you want crossplay.
Yeah, he was telling me that what they need to do is just make the PC players wait for the Xbox One load time. I'm like, that's not a good answer. make a timer that lets you come out of a cage later or something. Whatever. Aren't you in like the brig?
Ghost ship.
Yeah, you're on a ghost ship. You come out onto your own ship, but so in looking at some of the long-term plans, I know you've told me that they have like a couple of months. They said they're going to come out with a update, content update. Everything they've done since release has been like bug fixing. I've seen.
Yeah.
I read an article on Windows Central where they say new content is expected to vary in scale throughout its lifetime. While some small updates and changes can be regularly expected, larger content drops will likely stretch out over multiple months. Smaller updates such as new items and tweaks may be deploying once they're ready. Daily and weekly events are on the roadmap too, including limited time missions or variations on existing content. I don't have any specifics on this. This is just what one of their PR people told Windows Central. It's very vague, like you said. I don't have a lot of trust for a Microsoft backed. I don't have any reason to distrust Rare,
right?
But as they're a pawn on a string for Microsoft at this point. They're not the company that made all the games from the 90s that everyone associates with Rare's golden age. So it's kind of hard to say, oh, Rare's good people. They're not going to steer us wrong.
Yeah, what's the last big hit they made? Like, that was a huge game. It had to be for the Nintendo 64, didn't it?
Well, I think they were involved in the reboot of that fighting game that came on Xbox. I didn't play the new one, but I played the original on 64.
Very specific there, Crunk, that fighting game.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember the name of it.
Could be a few.
Killer Instinct. It took me just... Right. The old brain's not working right this morning.
It's too early, isn't it?
Need to kickstart.
Yeah. It did... have you guys ever played Killer Instinct?
No,
I know of it, but I've never played it.
So if you could describe a fighting game that was a mix, like a cross between Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat, that's kind of what that felt like to me. It had some of the crazy button combinations of Street Fighter, but it had the more of the stiff animation of Mortal Kombat. It was an interesting game, and it was like most fighting games. It's fun for about 2 weeks, and then you're like, okay, I've done everything.
It's over.
Yeah, I had a friend of mine, and this is dating myself a bit. A friend of mine and I used to play it after work every night for like 2 hours. We'd come home and have a few drinks and play it. My roommate, actually, and this is like in the late 90s. Played it on N64, I think.
Sure, it was Nintendo 64.
A couple of years ago.
Sure, it wasn't the Atari.
No, actually, Killer Instinct came out. I didn't play it on Super Nintendo, but it came out on Super Nintendo. And then Killer Instinct Gold was the upgraded version that came out on the N64.
I did not know that.
That was the thing that happened.
The last Rare video game I think I can remember was GoldenEye.
Oh, yeah.
James Bond GoldenEye.
GoldenEye and Perfect Dark were made by Rare.
Yep.
That was back when they were Rareware.
Yeah.
If I could,
Wow.
if I could tally up the hours I spent in that game, or both of them together, Jesus.
But yeah, everything.
I honestly, go on, Snuff. Go on.
I was just gonna say everything that Rare's done since the release of Sea of Thieves, with listening to the community, has really gave me hope for the future. You don't see a lot of just for instance, EA on Star Wars Battlefront 2. The Reddit and the forums keep bitching and complaining about different fixes that need to be in the game, and the dev teams are just silent. Nothing.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I don't know. EA doesn't give a shit about their players.
Yeah.
I'm just here to tell you that.
Well, I think you were talking about this the other day, Crunk, with the future of Sea of Thieves. Like right now, I think we actually just talked about this just before, but right now it's not particularly worth $60, but it has the potential to be worth $60 in the future if they keep updating the content for it.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely. What I keep coming back to with this game is I'm almost sad about it because it's everything that you want in a game. They built the foundation very well. The ship combat, the ship mechanics, the animation of the characters and the ocean and the theming is all spectacular. I think it was a conversation with you I think I had earlier this week where I was surprised because you were like, I really like this game. I think I'm going to keep playing it. I was like, I'm 100% the other way. And you said, I said, well, what is it about the game that you like? Because, selfishly, I don't care for the repetitiveness of it, and the thing that there is to do mechanically is boring to me. You were like, it's just relaxing, and I really enjoy sitting there on the boat and looking at the water. I mean, I don't remember exactly what you said. I'm paraphrasing here, but it really spoke to me about how well they captured that just the act of sitting there watching the water turn and is fun enough to keep going back, and the fun that you make with your friends. Sea of Thieves is very much a bring your friends with you or you're going to have a bad time kind of game, unless you just really like that repetitive loop of going out and getting treasure, coming back, going out and getting treasure, coming back.
It's along the lines of what Gorby was thinking about Destiny 2 when he played that at that particular point in his life. It can be kind of like mind numbing sometimes.
Yeah,
like you don't have to think about, it's not taxing on your brain what you're doing. And
it's not a deep strategy game.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. No offense, but like what you were just saying, then with it gives me the opportunity, because I am terrible for getting seasick or any kind of motion sickness. Mm-hmm. So to give me the opportunity to go on a boat and do boating stuff, but without actually having to go boating, it's a nice experience for me. It's I don't know what it is about the game. I just find it really relaxing.
And I think that's where Sea of Thieves needs to figure out what they want to do with the game. Do they want it to be a casual pirate sim, very laid back, not serious, or do they want to make it a bit more serious, go away from the casual feel of the game? Because I really think the people who play this game, I think they're split 50-50 on that. There's some people that want some type of reward for killing people or some type of penalty for dying. And then there's also that group of people that say, to hell with that. If you do that, it's going to make the casual feel of the game go away. And that's one of the reasons a lot of people like it, is the casualness of it.
But would that not be an opportunity to bring in some PvE servers or PvP servers?
Well, they couldn't do that if it's cross-platform.
Oh.
Yep. That's what I was thinking too. A game I play a lot is called 7 Days to Die, and they have a server list, and you can go into just PvE servers or you can go into PvP servers, and it works phenomenally. But on a game that's cross-platform, you can't really do that, unfortunately.
Yeah, so split your player base up too.
Shot themselves in the foot a little bit there.
Yeah.
That reminds me, when doing some research on this, there was a tweet or a forum post by one of the devs for Sea of Thieves. They had this update where they patched a bunch of bugs, and they also talked about canceling a feature that they had talked about earlier called the death cost. And I asked Snuffas about it, and what did you say that was?
They were going to fine you in-game gold coins when you died. So every time you died, you had to pay a fee to spawn again or to become alive. Which I think there is a way to make dying mean more, but I don't think that's the way.
Yeah, they basically said, I'm trying to remember the exact wording, due to a very passionate response, we decided to cancel this update.
Yep.
Which is a big no then, isn't it?
Yeah.
Which is awesome. That means I know it's a horrible idea, but the fact that they're listening to their community and they're giving the community what they want in the game is a phenomenal thing in a gaming world now that most devs just ignore the player base and say, fuck you, play the game.
Right.
You know,
I remember when I first played World of Warcraft back whenever the hell that game launched, that when you died in that game, your penalty wasn't anything, but you had to walk back to your corpse. Maybe you lost some experience if you weren't level 60 at the time, whatever the cap was then. Mm-hmm. But I hated that because I'd played a couple of MMOs before where the death penalty was quick. And I was like, I had to wait. I had to stop doing what I'm doing. I have to go walk all the way back to my corpse. This is awful. But then I realized, because that game had a little bit of PvP in it, that what that did was it created a gap between you and the person that you were fighting of time. So people would leave. And I think that's what something like that Sea of Thieves could benefit from. Maybe not cost you any money, any in-game currency, but just time. Put you in like a penalty area, or instead of coming right back to where you died, it puts you back on the spawn island or something. I think that would be a good enough penalty, I think, for that game.
I think what they need to do is when you die, there, like you said, a timer. When you go onto the ghost ship, there's a timer, and the more times you die in a shorter span, the longer the timer is. So, if you die 6 times within 5 minutes, the timer's just going to get longer and longer that you have to stay on the ghost ship. And then when you do respawn, if your ship has been sunk, that ship needs to respawn at the furthest outpost away from where you died. Because right now, you respawn at the closest outpost. So it's almost punishing the people that sunk your boat and killed them, that you respawn with a brand new fresh ship right next to them.
Exactly.
So, yeah. My idea, this would have been way too taxing on the servers, and they're already having overload issues without this. But my idea was, when you died, you got kicked from that server instance.
Oh, yeah.
So you had to queue back up. Right. Yeah. Right. But that's going to cause the overloading issue on the server to be 1,000 times worse. So, I like the idea, but to put it in actuality, there's no way it could work.
So what other content would you guys like to see in this game? I mean, you have any other ideas or things that they could add to the game that would make it more fun for you personally?
I would like to see more ships, more styles of ships.
Because it's all cosmetic now, right? The upgrades.
So I think they should add, because they have a sloop, which is 1 or 2, and then they have a galleon, which is 3 or 4. I think they should add a man-of-war, which would be an 8-man crew.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I think they should add a man-of-war. I think they should expand the amount of players that can be on a server, but with expanding the players that can be on a server, they need to expand the world. It needs to be bigger.
Yeah.
What about you, Cherry?
I think for me, moving away from the combat side to it, I think I would like to see more story, if that is what they want to go, that route that they want to take.
Yeah.
Right now, there's not, from what I've seen anyway, there's not much.
It would be cool if there was like a main island where you can, just say it's like a safe zone. You can't turn in chests there or anything, but it would just be a place for whoever's on the server to congregate and just play around.
I think it would be good if they could make that area like non-combat as well.
Yes, yeah, safe zone, yeah, 100% agree.
Like a big city or something.
Yeah, like a Port Royal or a Nassau, something where everybody can just play around. Somebody described this game perfectly. They said it's a sandbox game with no toys. I said yes, that's exactly what it is.
Along those lines, the thing that struck me that would be very fitting for the theme of this game is a big, like a casino style place to go in the middle with your spoils.
Yeah.
What can you do there? I mean, I can't speak to the programming, but I think that being able to implement a place for pirates to hang out, drink, socialize, play cards, gamble, have a big kind of casino would be very fitting to that theme. It would be something fun to do, and maybe have like a leaderboard
that would be
system
cool.
there. That would be a long-term goal for people to hang out and play. And maybe this is crazy outside the box thinking, but like have a an expansion where they have some kind of peacekeeping force, like a police, and that would be the PvP, pirates versus the police, and then have a leaderboard that way. How many pirates have you caught? How many pirate ships have you sank for those people? I think that would be, pie in the sky. It'd be a lot of programming, a lot of things to do, but it would be something interesting and a way to keep the combat moving forward.
In regards to...
Wait, no, go ahead, Jerry. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, in regards to the cosmetic stuff, is there any way to trade that at the moment?
No.
So, if they could bring in something that...
Yeah.
Maybe you've bought something that you don't particularly want anymore or you don't use anymore, some kind of auction house or something like that, so you can trade with other players.
For coins or something?
Yeah, and then it's another way to make more gold.
Kind of playing off of what Crunky said with the leaderboard, I really wish they had some way of tracking your in-game kills and in-game ships sunk.
Yeah.
And I think it would be cool is if you could somehow display it on your sail.
Like a tally.
Yeah. So each time you sunk a ship, you got, let's say, a red X or a black X on your sail. And each time you killed somebody, you got like a black X on the whole of your ship.
Yeah.
I think tracking along that line would be really cool, because then you could stare off into the distance and see a ship with 35 X's on it, and you're like, oh shit, let me get the hell out of here. This guy's going to blow me to bits,
That ship is covered in blood.
Yeah,
get the hell out.
Yeah, exactly. And I think more customization on the ship and on the sails. Let us custom make, at least give us some options. Maybe not custom upload stuff like you can in COD for your banner, but let us put a Kraken on there with a sword or a cannon on our sails or something to make the ship personalized more.
On that line of thought as well, Snuff, I have heard a lot of people complain that they can't customize their character. It's just a base style that you have to choose from. So something along the lines of like I know you can like do stuff like hairstyles and beards and stuff like that, but physically being able to craft a character would be quite cool.
I think the pirate generator, what they have to choose your character in the game, I think it's a good idea, but I don't think this is the best game to implement it. Don't try to reinvent the wheel,
Yeah.
Exactly. I read this article about how this game had a pretty rocky development cycle because of, as you said, it started out being like a project at Rare, and then Microsoft backed it, made it change its scope and aims. But they originally had a very full customizable character creator in the early alpha of the game, and they scrapped it because they wanted to focus less on being an individual game and more of it being a group-based experience. And they thought one of the ways to do that was to, this is me surmising, one of the ways to do that was to make you less tied to your character. So I thought that was very interesting. It almost sounds like it got workshopped to death, Focus groups said, no, this is what we need to do. But
and one of the other things...
It's not,
go ahead, Jerry. Go ahead.
Sorry.
No, you go ahead. No, you go ahead. No, you.
It's... The problem I have with that is that it's not personal. Because, we've had times where if you're in a group of people and you have, 6 or 7 generic characters to choose from, you come across the same characters. I find that really boring.
I know. I think when we played on the live game, we had to go through the character creation. I just picked one. I didn't spend a lot of time thinking about it, and I got there, cherry picked the same character.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Like, oh my god.
Yeah.
So Snuff.
What
was Snuffy?
I think another reason I was listening to a video a couple of days ago. Another reason they used the pirate characters because they only have to load in. Let's say there's 10 different bodies you can have. So every single outfit you buy and every single weapon you buy is made so it fits perfectly on those 10 bodies. There's no glitching, there's no weird stuff. So when you hear it from that, you're like, oh, that kind of makes sense. But still, the least, don't reinvent the wheel. Every single damn game has some sort of customer characterization. I mean,
I have to think that it has something to do with server load too. They only have to render those 10 bodies, and it's easier to make a copy of something, an asset that already exists, than it is to draw, 15, 20 unique characters. Yeah. And when I look at the game running with all that water, and I mean that water animation cannot be easy to render. It's got to be very intensive. So they probably one thing I noticed when we played is that we didn't run into a whole lot of other players. It's not like I played probably 6 to 10 hours in total, and I think I ran into another ship 3 times.
Oh, wow.
And so I think the reason to that is probably because if there were 4 or 5 ships in the ocean with you, it'd probably have some slowdown and some issues, especially with all the animation going on.
Well, the max load you can have on a server is 16 people.
Okay, so 4 groups.
Yeah, four galleons, sense. Essentially.
Yeah.
And then one other thing I'd like to add to the game is take away the gamer tags that are above people's names.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's really hard to sneak when that gigantic gamer tag, or add a crouch button, and when you're crouched, your gamer tag goes away. But when you're standing up, it's there.
That's weird.
Who's hiding that bush? Oh, it's 420 Blaze It.
Because it's really hard to hide in the Keeper of the Souls tent and kill people when they come in to turn their...
I could see your name from a mile away through all the walls.
Yeah. But yeah, this game is solid. The foundation is solid. It just needs frills.
So would you recommend it? What would you say to people who are on the fence?
If you're on the fence and you're on PC and your only option is $60, wait. Wait to see what they add. If you're on Xbox, I would suggest looking in to see if the game is going to stay on Game Pass. If it is, I would get Game Pass. If it's not, you can do the Xbox share thing where it's only $30 and you can get another person to chip in $30, and so both of you have a game for half the price. I think the game is worth $30, but if you're on PC and the only way to get it is to pay the full price, I can't suggest buying it to everybody. It's worth $60 to me. I'm going to get $60 of enjoyment out of it, but to just the masses, I really cannot suggest buying it for $60 right now.
How about you, Cherry?
Yeah, pretty much what Snuffas said there. If it is possible to do the 10-day free trial on PC, if you are on PC, definitely do that first, and then try it out and see what you think about it. But to me, it's not worth $60 right now. Maybe in the future, but not right now.
Yeah, I mean, my recommendation is if you don't already have this game, wait, because if you love pirates, if you are excited about the idea of this game enough, that might carry you through what's going to be a slow period for the game. The game just released. They may add content regularly, I'm going to guess, because they're on console and they have to mess with the release schedule of Xbox Live. You ever notice console games are always behind on updates compared, even if it's on both PC and console, they're always way behind because they have to facilitate with the Xbox Live service content updates. So I'm gonna guess in a year's time, this game's gonna come down in price. There's gonna be a lot more content available when it comes out. I'd wait then, unless you just absolutely love pirates. I would wait.
Yep, 100% agree.
It pains me to say that because they did a lot of really good things here, but there's just someone at Microsoft or Rare should have looked at this game 5-6 months ago and said, "Wait, guys, this is not ready. You're not going to have enough content at release. It's going to be a PR disaster."
No. Someone should have said to Microsoft, "Don't charge $60 for it."
Yeah, that's the other side of that coin. Yeah, if they want to release, if someone says we have to release a full retail exclusive because Microsoft Xbox is hurting for exclusives right now. If that's their angle, why they wanted to do it this way, then they should have either waited till there was $60 worth of content, or like Cherry said, charge $30.
Yep.
Charge.
I tell you what would fix all of this. One word.
Yeah.
If they would have slapped the word beta.
Yeah. Early access.
If they would have told everybody it's early access or beta, I bet 75% of the people complaining about the price tag, rightly so, wouldn't have been complaining about it just for saying it's early access or beta.
If it was early access and only cost $30.
Yeah.
Well, we were worried that we wouldn't have a whole episode's worth of content, and here we are at 50 minutes. So.
Hey, I think we ran out of content on Sea of Thieves before the podcast did.
Yeah, I actually literally bored of Sea of Thieves faster than it took us to record this podcast. and I feel bad about it because they do a lot of really good things in that game. But man, there's just the gameplay loop. I kind of chalk it up to that I played too many MMOs. So the fetch quest, I can't play any game with fetch quests in it anymore. I'm just so sick of it. And that's the main gameplay
that's
loop.
the whole thing. It was fetch quest. Hey, go get this, go do this, and come back and get coins. And you have to do this 70,000 times to get coins for one sale. And then go back and do it again.
Oh, actually, yeah, just on that topic as well, the price hike that they've done in the game for stuff that costs.
Nuts.
My word! In the beta,
assault.
Yeah, in the beta when we were playing it, like I think you could get quite a lot of stuff for very, very few gold. Now it's like in the thousands. Yeah. What's that about?
The cheapest sale you can buy is 70,000 gold coins.
And how many, like, on average, what do you get from a chest Snuff?
A couple hundred for good ones.
Yeah, exactly.
So the cynic in me and the seasoned MMO junkie that I am, that tells me is someone at Rare looked and said, okay, the content that we have has to last how many months? Okay, how do we make that content last longer? Well, we just move the goalposts farther away on how someone acquiring everything. If everything's ridiculously expensive, that means you're just going to farm that much more. That's going to take more time. And that's when the game launched on day one, I saw those prices. I was like, okay, that means we're not seeing any new content for months. Because, I mean, people have been playing it since launch for a week. And do you know anybody who has everything yet?
Oh, hell no.
No, because you literally, it's not physically possible. So that told me that they're kicking that can down the road a little bit because, and I understand there's a studio. They got to develop stuff. It takes time to get that done. But that's a pretty clear signal to me that this game is not ready for prime time yet.
In my opinion, I don't think we'll see a content add to this game until early Q3 of this year.
Yeah, that's fair. I think that would be aggressive too from a development standpoint.
And another thing they added in that was kind of along the lines of, oh shit, we're not going to have more content to add for a couple months, is that Pirate Legend thing where you have to get level 50 in all 3 guilds. And if you think getting ship customization is hard, getting level 50 in all 3 guilds is nuts. To give you some perspective, as much as I've played, I'm level 20, 15, and 8.
Oh wow! And is it exponentially slower?
Yes. Yep. The higher you go up, the more you got to turn in. Oh, and I forgot to mention this. Another thing that kind of pisses me off of the game.
While we're shitting on Sea of Thieves.
as much as I love it, it has a ton of faults. So in the Gold Hoarders, when you go and get a map, some of these maps are riddles. Some of the riddles have like 4 or 5 parts that you have to solve once you get to an island. If I'm on a fucking island for 30 minutes solving riddles, I don't want a damn seafarer's chest. You know,
it better be that's like the lower.
Yeah. That's if I have to solve riddles, if the riddle's harder, if the treasure map's harder, damn it, reward me with something better than one of the crappy chests. That really pisses me off.
Yeah, that's not good.
That's one of the most. That's probably the most annoying thing in the game for me right now.
Well, I think we've done a good job of giving our opinions on the game, and I appreciate you guys for being here. Sorry for Sea of Thieves fans. Sorry, Snuffas, for shitting on your game. I know. I think you've been very objective and transparent that you love the game. You wish everyone loved it as much as you did, but you understand where people are coming from.
It's a great game, but it's not a game without its faults.
So, Cherry, how can people get a hold of you?
You can find me on Twitter. I am at cherrycake518, and you can also find me on Twitch. That is twitch.tv/cherrycaketv.
And Snuffas, are you available anywhere on?
Just a couple places. Twitch, Snuffas89, and you can find me also on Twitter. My handle is Bryce, BRYCE S89. Yep.
Nice.
What about you, Crunk?
My name is online is Crunky with 2 N's. You can find me on twitch.tv/Crunky or on Twitter at Crunky_Twitch. And I think that's going to do it for us, guys. Thanks for being here.
Thank you, Crunch.
Thanks.
All right, guys. Have a good one. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Go Lurk Yourself podcast. Please shout us out on your favorite social media platform, tell a friend or two about us, or just go running through the streets telling everyone you see. We'll see you next week.
Go fuck yourself, San Diego.